on the Blaze Network. So it's a conservative, generally I would think a conservative podcast. But Thomas Massie went on there to talk about the complications and the issues going on with this government shutdown and the developments as far as the Epstein files.
My theory is that the primary reason Speaker Mike Johnson has not reconvened the House is because the first thing that's going to happen is he's going to swear in the 218th vote that you need with Ro Khanna to force a discharge petition on the Epstein files. Mm-hmm. Is that the only reason we're not convening the House?
It's goes even one step beyond that, Matt. We are having pro forma sessions. So one of the reasons we do pro forma sessions is the Senate is still meeting, and the House and the Senate need to both be meeting for Congress to be meeting. And so about every 4 legislative days, a member from maybe Maryland or somewhere near in Pennsylvania takes the gavels in, they say the prayer and the pledge, and they announce when they will meet again, and they gavel back out. The Speaker could be swearing in during that pro forma session this newest member. And then it takes 7 days before we can have the vote on the Epstein release of the files. It takes 7 days, legislative days, and each of those pro forma sessions during a shutdown, we have ascertained, counts toward those 7 days. So not only is he keeping this thing from starting to happen, he's keeping the clock from moving, and he's keeping a congressional district in Arizona from being represented.
That was just the beginning of Thomas Massie talking very critically about what is that Mike Johnson's doing, all the elements of how this government shutdown benefits he and Donald Trump's commitment to continue to cover up these Epstein files. So as you hear Thomas Massie break down all the background and how this whole thing works and why it is that Mike Johnson's so afraid, he goes on TV, that is Mike Johnson, and tells those same lies.
Seated Representative-elect Adelita Grijalva. There's now a lawsuit about this. They say there's no dispute about her election or her qualifications, and add this. Speaker Johnson wishes to delay seating Ms. Grijalva to prevent her from signing a discharge petition that would force a vote on the release of the Epstein files and or to strengthen his hand in the ongoing budget and appropriations negotiations. Why hasn't she been sworn in? What's your response to the lawsuit?
Oh, this is so ridiculous. And we could take 30 minutes and talk about all this. But Grijalva, Rep-elect Grijalva will be sworn in as soon as we get back to regular session. Remember, it's the Democrats who shut the Congress down, so we can't do that.
Can you not swear her in, though, when you're not operating in regular?
There is a precedent for doing a pro forma session swearing in, but we're not engaging in regular business right now. And what I'm doing is following the Pelosi precedent in the past when she was Speaker, and you had representatives elected during special elections, special situations. When Congress was on recess or out, she would wait until the regular session to do it. I'm doing the exact same thing. But the Epstein thing is a complete red herring. It's a distraction from what's going on right now and them causing harm to the American people with the shutdown.
I said it yesterday. Whenever they get caught in a lie, they just move on and then tell the lie again the next day. Mike Johnson's the same guy who brought up that lie about the Pelosi precedent that he said every time he talks about this. And I believe it was John Carl over at ABC who jumped in and said,
by the way, are you saying, let me stop you. Are you saying that Nancy Pelosi refused to swear her in earlier?
No, I'm saying that's my very point is this is the normal
my
process.
understanding is that was the date that actually the representative-elect Letlow at the time requested.
No.
She had obviously her.
Okay, here's some more examples, okay?
No, but wait a minute. You mentioned the Pelosi precedent, but Pelosi didn't delay that.
Let me give you more of the Pelosi precedent, okay?
And what about the Johnson precedent? Because you swore in 2 Republicans the day after their election.
I'm happy to answer.
There is no Pelosi precedent that Mike Johnson's going after. It's been debunked. But he goes back on TV and tells it as if no one busted him on it because he knows that Fox News Sunday's not going to go, wait a second. The guy that we say to hate over at ABC already busted you on this lie. Try again. But let's dig back into what Thomas Massie was saying, because he keeps blowing the lid off of these guys and their lies. And every time you hear it, you have to ask yourself, why is Moses Mike Johnson, who's committed to Jesus so much, so committed instead to covering up for child sex traffickers?
I should have mentioned that what Speaker Johnson is doing is unprecedented. Okay. Whenever we've had a shutdown in the past, and I've been through maybe about half a dozen of these, we always still meet because presumably that we're responsible for the shutdown. And so if you're going to get out of this situation, you should be meeting. And also, if you're in the majority, why wouldn't you want to have hearings? Why wouldn't we want to uncover the things that happened during the Biden administration? So he's calling it the Schumer shutdown, but I'm calling it the Epstein recess. He's not only are we shut down, we're in recess. And that's unconventional, unprecedented in the 13 years I've been in Congress. The other thing that Speaker Johnson established a precedent on himself. Until Speaker Johnson had been Speaker, I never had observed this, but he swore into members during a pro forma session. They happened to be Republicans. And now he's has no real good reason for why he's not swearing in the Democrat during a pro forma session.
The big thing here is the unprecedented moves. They're in a government shutdown, but he's never seen them go into full recess. It's the second time that Mike Johnson sent everyone home because he didn't want more things to happen. Both times it was surrounding this Epstein file release. It's crazy how he keeps going in that direction. Hey, here's more of Thomas Massie. This guy would not stop talking.
All right. So then there's two other components we really need to talk about. One is the hearing with the FBI director. Oh, here's another thing the shutdown prevents. It prevents the Attorney General from testifying in front of my committee. So it's very convenient. It drags that out. If we're having, the shutdown doesn't prevent it, the recess does. Mm-hmm. So the Speaker is having a recess, not just to avoid the impending vote on this issue, but to avoid any hearings whatsoever where this issue would come up. We did get the hearing with Kash Patel, the FBI director, and I had 5 minutes. And so as not to waste my 5 minutes, I also took some extra time to introduce into the record 5 documents, each of which shows that Jeffrey Epstein was an intelligence asset to Israel and to the United States. And so, and even if he's not, there is a CIA file on Jeffrey Epstein that I want to see. I asked Kash Patel, has he seen it? And he didn't know if it existed. And I said, well, wouldn't you be interested in asking for that? Like, that's one of the things you're allowed to see is the CIA file on Jeffrey Epstein. Like, you're suspiciously uncurious about that.
Did you know any of that? I didn't know that. Did you know that in a committee hearing, to not go over his 5 minutes when he wanted to ask other questions, Thomas Massie, as he just said there, introduced documents showing that Epstein was an intel asset to both Israel and the United States. It's like it matches up perfectly with all the rest of these stories that were also Michael Wolff was a part of telling some of these stories about the numbers of people internationally powerful leaders, billionaires across the world that were a part of this whole child sex trafficking ring, which would tell you why they're trying to cover this up so badly, which would tell you why this was covered up across multiple administrations. Of course it has. That's what they're about. But did you know it? Because people were speculating that Epstein was an intel asset. Why aren't we talking about this every day? Hey, here's more of Thomas Massie.
There are people asking, well, why don't these women release the names? And the reason is these are billionaires like that. So what happened is Epstein, once they got to the age of consent, they weren't exciting to him anymore. And he would traffic them to his friends. Now, so you might, at this point, they're going to say, oh, well, there were prostitutes. They were 18. They were age of consent. Jeffrey Epstein was giving them something. And then they did, sexual things with these men. And so what happens is those men who have billions of dollars, they had money to pay off police departments, to lose reports, to pay off judges. What they would typically do is they would, a lot of these girls were from families that weren't very affluent. The family would end up with $150,000 up to $500,000 of money, and the girl wouldn't testify. So basically, that's one of the things they would do. But now they would just sue them into poverty for defamation. And if you don't have the power that the government has to discover these facts, then you can't contest the defamation case well enough. And the process is the punishment. They basically go broke just trying to hold up their name.
So next time someone tells you that these victims, these survivors of these horrific actions are coming out at convenient times, or they must be lying, or how come they stayed quiet for so long, when all those excuses come forward, just remember, I don't know if we heard it very clearly, but Thomas Massie was talking about how billionaires use their money to influence and destroy other people's lives. It's like standard. And so, of course, you go through litigation. And when someone who doesn't have any money, which is one of the reasons why they targeted people who come from, meager backgrounds, is because it doesn't provide you much defense or even offense when it comes to accusing these guys of doing what it is that they've done to you. It's reasons why they go after the least powerful folks, because it stays that way. Man, Thomas Massie's telling everything. He was also asked and talked about why it is, because this is another curiosity question from the Cash Patels, the Dan Bonginos, and of course the Donald Trumps, why they made this quick flip on when their commitment to getting these Epstein files out there. And now when they're in power, they don't want anything to do with it. I have my suspicions. Here's Thomas Massie.
There's also the intelligence aspect of this that goes even deeper. Maybe Trump is on one plane and he's thinking, I can't embarrass my friends. But there may be people in the administration who are career people who are thinking on another plane. They're like, well, let's convince Trump he's going to embarrass his friends, when in reality what we're trying to do is protect our sources and methods, which may involve sex trafficking.
Yeah.
And we don't want to embarrass our partner, Israel, in this time when the popularity for their war or support for their war is at an all-time low. And now we're going to find out that their defense minister, Ehud Barak, was documented with Jeffrey Epstein 36 times, probably even while he was defense minister. He had previously been prime minister. I don't know that he knew Epstein during that period. I'm not sure how much of those dates overlap, but there are reasons that they want to protect them. There's reasons he's flipped. And I don't think his children or J.D. Vance or even Pam Bondi or Kash Patel were read into all that when they originally said all of this stuff should be released.
And then they read into it. And that's when eyes were bucked wide open. Remember the interview? Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, and they were sitting on Fox Business or Fox News with Maria Bartiromo, and they were like, they were scared as shit. Pam Bondi has been scared multiple times. She's openly gasped when people asked a question. So I don't know what degree they knew before, but there's something that they've seen, as we've all pointed out and said before. They saw something or heard something and said, we've got to shut the F up. And now that's what it is they're doing. Massie's breaking it down.